Okay, folks, let's try this again. Hopefully with sound this time. It's always something. I really need to probably get a checklist, but I'm not a big planner. Let's make sure this is correct. Okay, good. Merry Christmas, and we'll try to do a short edition here. Not sure how long I'll be able to paint for this, but there's an opportunity to do some this morning because I'm not going to have that opportunity supposed to the rest of the year. Now, if you do see me do some more painting this year, then you know that my plans went sideways. We're supposed to go on a trip tomorrow that will make us unavailable to do any filming. So if I do have any more filming to do, then you will see that that was not planned that way. Anyhow, this is the second attempt to do the video. Moments ago, I don't know, 3-4 minutes in, and the sound, I hadn't plugged in the mic. I really need like a checklist or a producer that does all that stuff. Anyhow, what I was just saying was, if you see that I have a little bit of a cough, it's not that I'm patient zero or anything. We actually just got retested for you know what yesterday. Everything came back negative. We got to do that for the trip that we're going on, but and that's probably had to do with all of the errands that I had to run yesterday. And no, it wasn't last minute Christmas shopping. It was supplies and stuff that I needed to get for the grocery store and stuff like that. I was playing errand boy, and it's abnormally hot all the time here, except yesterday. It was really nice, and I was driving around with the windows down. And I'm wondering if that doesn't have anything to do with it. But guys, I got this little annoying cough from time to time. So just remember, if you're annoyed by me coughing all the time, I'm even more annoyed because I can't get away from it. But it's nothing to be worried about. I moved everything, looks like. I was doing some wrapping on this table, so got to move a couple things out of the way. But anyways, back at it, Enikaru. And Merry Christmas to you. Like I said earlier, but you couldn't hear me. So I just ditched that whole other session. It's easier than, if you start a session with no sound accidentally, and then you come in later, people that are new to the feed will probably be, oh, the whole session doesn't have any sound. Let me just not even listen to it. So hopefully we got off on the right footing this time. Patty Green, happy Christmas, Tony. Thanks for all the DBA stuff posted this year. Oh, you're welcome. Hopefully it won't be a 2-month break in between games, but you never know. You never know. But yeah, so let me get to a question. I was going to make a separate video for it, but I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I'm going to have time. We've got to pack and stuff later today because, like I said, we're supposed to go on a trip tomorrow. I'll try to stay humble. I'm not going to brag about where it is or anything, but these last 2 years have been years of trying not to get too excited about something because the rug could get pulled out from you at the last minute and not be able to do what you'd been planning to do. So try to keep a low profile on that stuff. But I don't think I'm going to have a chance to do another video. But there was a gentleman on the DBA forum on Facebook, and I guess he doesn't watch my painting videos. It's obvious because he asked me something that in the latest video, he asked me something that I have volunteered to answer multiple times on my painting video. It seems to come up, and I guess I said I was going to make a separate video for him. Honestly, I don't think I'm going to have time to do that. So I'm going to point him in the direction of this video, and I'll answer his question. But I believe his name was David Barnes, and he was asking me why I did not like Book One armies. Why I did not like to paint Book One armies. And I've mentioned it many times. We did it in one of our videos, I think Mitch and I, in one of our Q&As, somebody had asked what our favorite book armies were and why. And his is not the same as mine. Mine's really easy to remember what books I like them in. I like them in descending order. So I like book 4 the most, then 3, then 2, then 1. The reason I like book 4 the most is I am a sadist, and I like to paint things that other people do not like to paint. So I love heraldry, faces, horses, flags. And did I say heraldry? Yeah, I like painting heraldry. It allows you to do some research. The more closer a period you are to the modern day, the easier it is to find resources and information for it. Now, it doesn't mean I have to paint everything by the letter of the law, but it gives you a wide library of ideas and inspirations for how to possibly put your own spin on how your armies are painted. Because no matter what you're doing, there's always a little bit of creativity you can use to kind of make your army yours. You know, not everything is known about whatever period it is that you're interested in. So you have to make some stuff up. The problem with going farther and farther back in time is if you go farther and farther back in time, the farther you go, the more stuff you have to make up. Less stuff is written down about it. Less people wrote about it. Less things survived. And let's be honest, the amount of detail that we're looking for as war game painters just isn't there. And a perfect example I'll tell you about is battles in China. I love Chinese battles and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, we suspect that they were extremely large with an extreme amount of casualties. And sometimes the only thing that survives is just an excerpt. And they certainly don't talk about what flags they used or what uniforms they used or sometimes the troop compositions. So there weren't that many sources, and you may be in a period where the victors decided to destroy all the sources because it made them look bad. So you have a limited amount of information to go back for. The farther you go back in time, the more limited that is. And that's why book 4 is my favorite, because of that. Book 3 is really nice because it's kind of a transition period. You still have all the combined arm stuff. So you've got heavy cavalry, you've got heavy foot, you got bowmen, all the above. You got elephants. Not very many elephants in book 4 armies. Didn't say there weren't any, just not very many. So I think book 3 is really well rounded. Book 2, it's like everybody versus the Romans, generally. Not a lot of shooting elements, generally, in book 2 armies. And book 1 is just a lot of guys you don't know anything about. You know, if you take the Old Testament out, that is where most of the information is from. So, you know, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the Old Testament, but that's like the only thing you got to go on. And most of the armies look very similarly. Now, you know, we're gonna have the exception to, say, the Chinese armies, because obviously they look differently. But you got guys that, for the most part, don't wear any headgear. They don't have any heraldry or any shields that we have any idea what they look like. So you have to. It's just a totally open palette. It's too open a palette, in my opinion. Now, I've enjoyed the last book 1 army I painted because it was kind of like my Irish, where I had to make guys that looked very drab and kind of give them personality. But the figure manufacturer choices that are out there are just not very numerous. And it's just not my thing. Now, so I put off, I painted 30 armies before I painted a book 1 army. Now that I've painted one, I will be painting another book 1 army in the future. Okay, it is on the radar. But I have done something like the two horde stands that I have in my Amorites. I'm going to use them. I'm going to reuse them as horde stands in this next army because they don't make other horde figures, or Essex doesn't make any horde figures. So there's not a big incentive in like, hey, let's paint another army with hordes when you have to use the same damn figures and they're going to be painted the same damn way. So we're going to cannibalize some stuff when we do that. But the other thing, and here's kind of a silly reason, what is the name of the rules that I play? De Bellis Antiquitatis, right? All right. What is that language is that in? Well, it's in Latin. The Book 1 army, for the most part, are armies that predate the Latin language. So, I don't know, that's just kind of silly, but it's like, it's pre-Roman. Latin hadn't been invented yet, so. Now, with that said, I don't mind playing the battles that those Book 1 armies are in. But as far as painting them, I'm just not really inspired by that. So I don't know if that helps answer the question, but that's my opinion. I know people that like Book 1 armies and they don't like other stuff, but you lose headgear, you lose flags. There's no flags, right? No headgear, no flags, no shields, and not much history. And I mean, all you have to go on is Old Testament and a few steles and like rock carvings and stuff like that. That's all you have to go on. And the Old Testament is pretty much from one position, so you don't have really the opposing viewpoint. Well, there's a lot of that in the old history. I mean, the stuff on the Gauls and stuff. The Gauls didn't write stuff, so it's whatever the Romans said. And if they wanted to make the Gauls look a certain way, well, there you have it, Not exactly fair and balanced. Merry Christmas, the last stream of the year. It looks like it that way. Meanwhile, Book 1 is my favorite. Gotta love them men in skirts. Well, there you go. There's your reason why you like it. You like men in skirts. You could always paint Scots. Yeah, so that's my reason. But, like I said, I'll probably paint another Book 1 army. Book 1, more than any other book, has the most concentrated amount of people that have built the same armies. So, for instance, an army many years ago that I would have thought that I would have done by now would have been New Kingdom Egyptian. You know how many people have New Kingdom Egyptian army? Everybody, but me. It's a very popular army. Well, it's a very good army. And, let's be honest with you. They're pretty, chariots and such. But I'll never paint them because I don't need to spend a couple hundred hours painting an army that everybody already always has. There's nothing worse, in my opinion, and you'll see this because of the videos we don't do. We don't do civil wars. I'm not particularly interested in playing a game where both people have the same army. As a matter of fact, when we run tournaments, if two people bring the same army, they will not fight themselves in the first battle. Okay? When you enter a tournament, we traditionally say army, book, and number, and then a year. Well, what do you need the year for? Because we pair people up closest to the year in the first battle. So if you have an army that's 1503 BC and one that's 1600 BC, they're probably going to be the ones fighting each other, unless there's something that's even closer to them. And that's just all we do for the initial battle. If it happens to be two New Kingdom Egyptian armies that they pick the same year, they're not going to fight each other in the first battle. That's just, nobody wants to do that. I've played Civil Wars and they're boring as shit. So, if they happen in the second round and winners have to play winners, and then two New Kingdom Egyptian armies both won, and they're the closest in score, yeah, I guess they'll have to fight each other in the second game, but we'll leave it at that. So, if I know somebody in my game group that has built a certain army, I kind of tend to avoid that. A perfect example is Joe Coton. One of the first armies he painted was Italian Candata, and they were on my short list, and they still are. And I may still paint them, even though Joe has an army, because they really fit in everything else that I have, and I have the figures for them. But they moved down the painting queue once he joined our group and started playing, because there's just no need in us redoubling our efforts on the same army. He got his finish first, so there's no reason to, if it was something that I was dead set on painting, yeah, I'm still going to paint it. But it's something I take into consideration. It's something you take into consideration. So, boy, lots of people here. You guys open your presents already. On a more serious note, I adore the Achaemenids, and it happened to be on book 1 too. Yeah, Achaemenids is a cool army. Mitch has every Achaemenid possible, so I won't be painting them probably ever. I don't have anything against the Achaemenids. They are the bad guys compared to the Greeks. Sorry. If you want to look at it differently, that's fine. The Greeks were stupid and they fought each other, but still, the Achaemenids are the bad guys when it comes to the Greeks. I look at things from a Western viewpoint. Sorry, folks. Doesn't mean I won't play the Persians. And I won't, it's not like they're not a cool army. Hey, I'm American. We got to put everything in a good guys, bad guys thing. You know how that is. You've seen Westerns. It's all from Westerns. Oh, who's the good guys? Who's the bad guys? They don't do that now. Now everything kind of goes. They retell stories and they change who the good guy is and the bad guy, But, yeah, that's the only reason I wouldn't do the Achaemenids. Not because they're not cool. Definitely a cool army. Lots of combined arms. But Mitch has every single Achaemenid known to man. He's got all the early ones. He's got Cyrus. He has the ones that fought Alexander the Great and so forth. So nothing against the Persians. Just never going to get around to painting them because my local players have that army. Now, if one day I move away, or if Mitch's parole gets back off parole and he has to go back and go to Illinois, and he no longer plays here, yeah, I could paint an Achaemenid army at some point, but definitely cool. Definitely more interesting in playing the Greeks. The Greeks is just spear with a side of spear, and oh yeah, another spear too. You have some elements that aren't spear, but for the most part, that's kind of their thing. Good guys and bad guys. There's nobody I won't play. I don't care. I know people that just flat out won't play certain nations. They were all not nice fellows. But anyhow, that was my question answer for David Barnes. So when this is over, I'll send him a link to this and hopefully he'll watch it. But that's the reason why. I'm going to commit a couple hundred hours to painting an army. So I need to have a pretty good reason to do a certain one, because while I'm doing that one, there's other armies that aren't getting painted. So, but book 1, yeah, there'll be another book 1 army. That's the plan. When? I don't know. They're unlikely in the next 2 years. Let's put it that way. Unlikely in the next 2 years. I got other plans, and they don't involve painting another book 1 army. Anyhow, I guess this is why you shouldn't drive with the windows down. So I rarely, if ever, drive with the windows down in the car. And the first thing I noticed was that you're stuck behind a truck or somebody that does not have good exhaust. You're going to be smelling that. That's just really unusual to smell that while I'm in a vehicle. And it wasn't like I had my mouth on a tailpipe or anything, but I did notice that in the last couple of days. We actually had some cool weather. So take advantage and drive around with the windows down. So let's see what we got here. Mitch's parole. That'll be the fashion police after him then. Absolutely. Absolutely. He is a frequent offender. It's amazing he had shoes on the other day. You're playing early Achaemenids and Impetus, but maybe we'll paint and base the leftover minis for DBA 2. The Fashion Popo. I have the Impetus rules. Every set of rules has stuff that you like and some stuff that you don't like. And the first thing I noticed that I don't like about Impetus is that there's only 3 movement rates. But that's not why I haven't played it. I haven't played it because I just don't have it in me to learn new rules from scratch. That doesn't mean I'm not willing to try new rules. I just don't want to be the front man on that. Like, reading stuff and then having to tell other people what about it. I already have to tell people what to do, instruct folks in my job, at my paying job, too much. And I have a bunch of people that don't listen also. They're you get told something and you got to tell them the same thing all the time. So I'm not a big fan of explaining things to people. Maybe if I was retired, but not really my thing. So, and I'm getting to the point where, I need to play the rules before I can get a sure footing how everything else is going to play out, to kind of get a grasp of it. It's just not my thing. There's some people that read rules and never paint. And I paint and don't really care about reading the rules. Doesn't mean I don't care about playing them correctly. It's just that I don't want to be the front man on trying to teach everybody. So, Sea Peoples are your favorite Book 1 army. Are they good guys or bad guys? I don't know. I tend to think that anybody who's a raider... Stop. I'm going to stop there because there's exceptions to everything. No. I don't know. I don't have really an opinion on them. I don't really have an opinion on them. They're actually really similar to the Amorites in troop composition. I'm just not a big fan of them because what's their flag look like? Exactly. What's a flag? Just a big fan of flags. Remember, I'm a World War II gamer, so the idea that I could have flags on my troops is pretty cool, You don't get much of an opportunity to do that. Unless you're painting, I don't know, say a bonsai charge or something that involves a commissar, on the Russian front. All right, time to do the fleshy bits. And I may be able to use that flesh, but the red is long dead. This red leather is no longer work here. The historical gaming community in Moscow happens to be playing mostly Impetus. DBA is mostly home project to play with wife. Yeah, then I'd be playing Impetus. I just played what people around me were playing. I don't blame you. You can't carry all the weight. There's other rules that came out recently, and the community in Florida didn't want to play them. And so we decided not to play that rule set. For other reasons as well, but... I actually showed up to play. I found out they were playing Armati, and I had gotten Armati many, many years ago in the mid-90s and never did anything with it because I never saw a game being played. And about 10 years went by and found out somebody was doing an Armati tournament at a convention, went to it, and it was the first year that nobody turned out for that to play in it. So they happen to be DBA being held at the same time, and I jumped in on that, and well, the rest is all history. But the Armati community pretty much ended here in Florida in 2004, which is what at the time that I switched over to DBA. Well, I didn't have anything painted for Armati, but I had the rules, and and did play in it in a demo game, and liked it. Um, don't know if I would have liked it more. Probably not. Um, for all its faults, I think DBA is a better game. Um, but it's interesting to see the things that Armati values highly and how that differs from DBA. Um, the power armies, the so-called power armies in Armati are not the power armies in DBA. Um, but the Armati is very, very static. You set up in the wrong place, and some guys will never go into combat. You know, they just can't wheel enough every turn. You know, so you set them up in the wrong place, and that just doesn't make for a very good game. Although it may be more realistic. Sometimes realism is not better. Man, I hope we got some cough suppressant in there when everybody wakes up. I don't want to go fumbling around in the medicine cabinet and do that, but anywho. So yeah, this is the army of mustaches. Everybody in this damn army has a mustache, so if you have a mustache, then you'll fit right in with these folks. Unless your mustache is blonde. No blonde people in this army. I guess there's no reason why they shouldn't. Have you seen any Transylvanian type folks with blonde hair? I'm sure there were some, but not gonna go there. So yeah, I mentioned that book one thing several times, but I understand there's some people not watching the paint videos. I get it. Those are the videos I do for myself. I don't really do them for other people. I do them so that I can stay on track here doing this. The game videos for you are for you guys. I mean, I've already experienced the game. It's just so many cool things happen. You guys are really missing out on. So, and sometimes the battles really aren't that great, and sometimes they're just epic. So you just never know what you're going to get. And sometimes the ones that are you would think be a pushover are the most are actually the ones that are the closest and the most interesting. So you just never know what you're going to get. Yeah, this little cough is probably the lightest little cough I've ever had, but still, it's annoying. And it's nothing because we just got tested for our trip, and I already had it. So just a weather change thing, I'm sure. It had been hot all last week, and then all of a sudden it just turned. Weather always changes here with rain. You never goes from warm to cold without a day or two of just drizzle, like a front coming through. Maybe that's the same everywhere. But I don't know. I'm not a meteorologist. I don't know if I could stand being wrong that often. But I figured we'd get some little bit of painting done today, even if it's only an hour or so. Just chit chat. It was an opportunity to answer that question. Yeah, you just have to invent too many things when you're doing book one. I mean, just out of nowhere. I mean, you still use an educated guess, and I like doing some of it because it allows you to put your own spin on whatever army that you're doing. But when you have to invent everything, um, you just it's kind of suspect. You know, I like a little bit more, not that much of a free range. So, oh, that's just me. Some people, I'm sure, probably like to. Oh, we can paint everybody purple and nobody would know. I can guarantee you there weren't huge armies of everybody wearing purple. Says the person painting in a figure wearing purple. Well, it's just his jacket, and he is minor nobility, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I know what it was. I didn't drink enough last night. That's what it was. That's always my problem, though. I just realized the fan wasn't on. I know it's 47 degrees outside, but that doesn't mean we can't have any air circulation here. Make sure the top light isn't on. Come on. Let's see. Is it on? Maybe the switch was already on. This is Gremlins from the Kremlin. Okay. There we go. We don't need it on 5. 3 will do just fine. Always have to have air circulation. There we go. Let there be air. Let it blow. Man, this room blows. Yep, that's what I like about it. All right. A little bit of highlighting left on his face. So yeah, I want to keep it kind of humble in case we don't get to go on our trip for whatever reason. But I'll tell you one thing. I'm not working the rest of the year. So even if we don't get to go on our trip, I'm not going into the office. So you either won't hear from me or I'm going to put out a lot of videos. It's not going to be anywhere in between those two. I'm not working until the 4th. So we may start off the new year with a bang. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I said I want to keep things humble because there's always a lot of variables that you just can't control. especially more so these last 2 days, the last 2 years. Like, how many more videos am I going to make that, hey, we're going to run these games at shows, and then the show doesn't happen? We're not doing those anymore. I'm not doing any preview videos of what we're planning. Every time I did one of those, the show didn't happen, or we couldn't go to it. Moving a show to November, there's guaranteed a. If I can't put out a game video in November, you know I can't go to a damn convention in November. So we'll see what next year brings, but I suspect that it's going to be more of this, of what we had this year. So I don't have any huge expectations to go to these shows and stuff like that. So we'll see. It'll be there when it is, you know. Try to get some more painting done. I suspect it'll be more of what we had this year. Yeah, which means you guys will get more. You guys will get videos too. So. Actually, this little cough is the only thing I've had since the beginning of 2020. I haven't had anything other than that. And this is just nothing. This is just a minor irritation. Seems like something got dried out. Which I guess is better than having a runny nose, but it's the first thing I've had since this whole thing started. Anyway, you guys get anything cool for the holidays? I'll say holidays because, you know, you may have a different holiday than I do. That's fine. I'm not trying to shove anything down your throat, you know. I did the hat and the elf over here just for comedy purposes. And then if you got something cool, was that something that you got for yourself? Kind of how I did the DBMM books last year. Or did your significant other or somebody in your family or friend give that to you and they know exactly what you want and they got you exactly what you needed? I don't want something I'm not going to use. I've flirted with getting an airbrush. I just don't think I'd use one. You know, the fact that I have to go to the garage to airbrush. I mean, the weather right now in the garage is nice, but for the most part, it's an oven. So, I really don't want to go to an oven to do my hobby. Considering I work in an oven to do my job. So, I want to get away from that as much as possible. You've been trying to go to the gym every day, but it's not one of those CrossFit things that people go and outside or a garage and they're freaking 90 something degrees trying to. No, I'm not doing that. I've already suffered 90 something degrees every freaking day. Not all day long, but frequently in it. And that's not for me. Mitch can have that, who lives in a freaking cooler. Works in a cool environment. I do not want to be in a hot environment when I'm not at work. Actually, I don't want to be at it when I'm at work, but that's just how it plays out for what I'm doing. So don't really want to go and do the airbrush thing. Just don't think I get much use out of it. It's fun to do. I just don't like the cleanup. I bought a really cheap one that somebody turned me on to, and that was the spray painted mats that we played on. That's what that was. That's what that created. But that's all it could do. It really couldn't. It wasn't a quality thing or anything. I just wanted to. It was just an experiment to see if I would use it, and it was just a pain. It was just kind of a pain. I'd used one in the past in the early '90s, and it's always a pain. Sometimes it starts flowing well, and then it stops, and you're in the middle of something, and it's not my thing. I don't want to be frustrated when I'm doing my hobby. So. I don't see one in the future for me. Stupid cough. It's all the elf's fault. Blame it on the elf. All right, I think we should have a... I think we should use some kind of a red for the... all the things here. All right, let's do this. Let's mix up some red and put that on this blanket this guy's sitting on. We're going to finish doing bits of these light horse until they're all done. All these little bits, and then we'll have to make a decision on what shield everybody's going to have. And finish up the mains on the horses. And then we can base these guys, and then we'll move on to probably the skirmishers in the army. And I said probably because I don't have a strict plan that I have to follow. It's not like I have to paint this first and this has got to be next. It's just like having a little bit of flexibility. You never know how things are, which way the wind's going to blow, and you'll want to do something a little bit different because you're tired of painting XYZ. Still keeping it in the same army, but not necessarily particular to have it be a certain way. Not one of those people that has to paint the interior colors and paint out. I can reach anything that I can see. It might be a little bit more inconvenient, but I don't have a strict policy of what order I have to do things in. Okay. I don't think I'm going to go any redder than that. We're going to add the tiniest bit of white. I don't mind that it goes pinkish a little bit. We're just highlighting, and red things, when they fade, they tend to go pink anyways. So, nothing wrong with that. Okay, and we're going to use a green for the other one. Hey, it's festive. It's red and green. Let's see what green we're going to use. Let's use this one over here. 7 viewers quietly. There he is. He finally woke up. I know, you're doing stuff with the grandkids. Merry Christmas to you, Mr. Peter. What is that crazy Krampus thing that you guys do over there in Deutschland anyways? You know, they dress up as the devil incarnate and run through town. Yeah, that wouldn't work too well in the States. There's some of those bastards that get shot. There'd be some trophies with horns on them hanging on the wall. Probably before Christmas. Seems like it'd be like a Halloween thing, right? You know? He's coming for you. You better behave. You got 1 month to behave, or you're going to get taken to Krampus land. You'll be polishing up pitchforks. Lots of people have a thing about clowns. My thing is anything horny like that. I don't do well with goat type masks or anything like that. That's not. That's some creepy shit as far as I'm concerned. Clowns are just a bunch of goofballs. Ah, Merry Christmas there, my favorite Martian. Hope you have some fun time with the family. Or hope to leave you alone if that's what you want to do. I don't know what kind of a family you have, so that may actually be better. Hope you can take some time off to spend with other folks if that's what you want to do. Probably the last painting session of the year. I expect it to be the last painting session of the year. Let's put it that way. So. This army's taken a long time to paint, and part of it has to do with I don't have a lot of time, and also they have a lot of accoutrements on here. I mean, this guy's got a spear, he's got a shield, he's got a sword, he's got a bow and a case, he's, different articles. It's not like you're painting that Book 1 army. Hey, there's a reason to paint another Book 1 army. They paint quicker, right? There'll be another one coming. That's not a common thing around here. I think he's more of a thing on St. Nicholas Day. Thanks for the top content. Well, I can't do it without you guys. Thanks for letting me bore you with the things we do here. Let's put it that way. There'll be more. Hopefully I'll say it again. Hopefully work slows down a little bit so I could catch my breath. But I don't see it. doing that. It seems like it's busier every year. The next 17 years or so are going to be like this. So about 18 years, it'll be nice and we can do more stuff. Hopefully, I won't be too decrepit or have the shakes. Nah, I'm not planning on that stuff. All right, I need to go to get another beverage, even though there's a 0 caffeine in this stuff. Be right back. And there will be more content in 2022. Like I've said before, we're going to continue doing this until it becomes too much of a pain in the ass to do. And I'll be honest with you, it's come close. But it's because of hardware issues, not because of actually doing this. So either I've had to fight too much with YouTube or what have you. But things stay how they are, we should be good. But like the last hurdle was getting this high-speed internet here. So finally, I've gotten to 20th century levels on the internet. So we could do this sort of thing. I was always frustrated by people that are able to put out content. And the content that they have is just absolute garbage that doesn't help anybody. I mean, ultimately, this that I'm doing helps me. But I don't know, maybe you guys will find some kind of useful information from it. But just the people that are posting videos that are just utter garbage. It's like, why do they have bandwidth and I don't, you know? And maybe that's what you want to see. Maybe you guys want to turn on the internet and see people that are, what's the term I like to use? Attention whores. You know? Don't really have anything to offer. I'd like to think that I've got something to offer. You know, this is showing how can be relaxing. You know, you guys got any questions? I'll be happy to answer them. You know, that kind of stuff. But just putting out garbage. You know, doing stunts that don't value my life or whatever. You know, those people shouldn't have any bandwidth. They're stealing my bandwidth. Got stuff that I want to show folks, and we can help each other along on our wargaming journey. Attention whores, yeah. And my favorite terms. That one, and what's the other one? Sales weasel. That guy's a sales weasel. Yep. I heard that on a radio program many years ago, and I remembered it. I've never forgot that. It's like perfect. I remember, it must have been 3 years ago because it was before this pandemic stuff. I had a cough, I swear, and it wasn't like this. I mean, it was like a heavy cough. I swear for 3 months. It just drive me crazy. And I can't get away from it because, I got front row tickets. I am the problem, right? It just kind of eventually went away on its own, you know. Maybe if I still have this cough where I'm going, it's gonna freak people out, and they're gonna lose sleep over it, and they'll stay away from me. Perfect. Perfect. Nah, it's nothing. Like I said, we all tested and we're all good. I mean, I wasn't worried about it. Just things you got to do before other people admit you in places. So haven't finished packing. That's definitely something I got to do today. Is finish packing now that we got a negative result. They should offer a wargaming cruise. They do. 7 days on a ship, North Shore Leave, just gaming. Well, you don't have to go on shore. They do a gaming cruise. It's also on a crummy little vessel. It is on a crummy little vessel. And I know lots of people who they're on a cruise and they're just not having a good time. I mean, short of, you know, a terrorist attack when you're on a ship, or the ship going down, or what other unlikely event? Them running out of alcohol. Actually, them running out of alcohol is probably more likely than any of the other two things. Unless your captain's Italian, in which case, the ship sinking is a distinct possibility. It's pretty much a worry-free environment. I remember on one cruise, and we went into a tropical storm. It wasn't anything that was named or anything. And it was probably like a 25 knot wind. And we were going like 20 knots into it. It was really interesting on the top deck. It was like you were you were in a tropical storm. And I remember they have these little cups that are smaller than 12 ounces. They're probably 10. And I was drinking coffee, iced coffee at the time. And I could only fill it like a third because you'd end up wearing the rest of it. There was that much wind everywhere. It was interesting, but I think that's the only time of all the cruises I've ever taken that the weather has been questionable. We also don't go in summer. We go when that's not likely to happen. So summer's already too hot. So problem we're going to have is the water may actually be too cold, because I am a sissy when it comes to getting into water that's too cold. I can handle cold weather, but I don't take cold showers, and I don't go snorkeling in frigid temperatures. It's just not worth it. When you're a kid, you could do it because, you're a stupid kid, but not my idea of a good time. But I'm certainly not worried about it. But yeah, we'll go on cruises, and they'll be on there that people will be having a rotten time. I don't know what the hell they were expecting. Not doing it right. It's literally the best vacation you can go on, as far as I'm concerned. It's better than gaming. I love to game, but if I could stay on a cruise, I'm happily give up gaming. But we don't go on old tiny things that are crammed with people. Maybe if I went on a cruise every month, you'd have to go on something maybe a little bit smaller or something like that. But we're going on stuff that's upwards of 150,000 tons, so it's some big boys. And people say, oh, they don't like them when they're really crowded. Well, if the ship's bigger, there's more places for you to go to dissipate the crowds. And also, there's more shows. Instead of being stuck with one guy in some seedy bar playing a mandolin, and that's the only entertainment they have, you know? So, I'm a big fan. I'm actually a huge fan. So, and how else am I going to lose a couple pounds in a week? Because, yeah, I lose weight on a cruise. I always have. It's 2 pounds. You do a lot of walking, and there's food available everywhere and at all times, so there's no reason to overeat like we do, you know, like we all do when we're at land. It's like, well, I'm not going to be able to have another meal for 6 hours, so let's make this one count. You don't have to do that. Have little bits, and you do a lot of walking. Unintentionally, I should say. And I don't really drink that much. So, I'm definitely looking forward to it, but we'll see. There's still there's a couple more hurdles to do. And then we can unclench when we actually set foot on it. But these new times are definitely unfun when it comes to trying to plan something. Am I rowing? No? Nope, not yet. As long as it's salt water, I'm good. I'm a fan of salt water. Fresh water, not really a fan. Although people rave about that whole, those river cruises they do on the Rhine and stuff like that, and the Danube. They probably do them in other places. That's the 2 rivers I can think of. I just don't think there would be enough entertainment on the particular vessel. I guess the entertainment is you go and dock in different places, and today you see Vienna or Prague or that kind of stuff, but I like the idea of not having to get on a plane to go on a cruise, because we're not limited by how much we can bring. We could literally bring every single thing we own, and they would let you bring it. There's not a limit. There's not a bag limit. I mean, obviously, we don't do that because you still have to cart the stuff around. But you don't have to play calisthenics like we did when we flew recently and have to overpack the weight on your carry-on so that your main suitcase doesn't weigh more than 50 pounds. You know. Which is just bullshit anyways, because it's not like your carry-on's not going to go on the plane. So ultimately, you're still carrying the same amount of weight. But you could just bring a 100-pound bag if you damn well please, you know? Or 2 of them, or 3 of them, or 4 of them. You could bring all your shoes. You could be like, who is it that we heard about? Mariah Carey. We went to a resort one time many years ago. And we were talking about the place that we were staying at. And I said, oh yeah, Mariah Carey comes here all the time, but she gets 2 rooms. It's like, well, what's the second room for? All her shoes. We could just bring every shoe we own, you know? So it doesn't mean you have to do that, but it's just peace of mind. It's one more thing you don't have to stress out about. So when you sign up for the beverage package, just because you can drink all you want doesn't mean you have to drink it all. It's just one less thing you have to worry about, you know? Castles left and right. Yeah, I bet. And then you would want to stop at one and you can't because you went by it. I don't know. I'd like to go to Europe, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. Not with the current condition. That's okay. We got Google Earth for that. Yeah, I turn on my computer and sometimes I get a beautiful castle that's right there on my screen. It just happens as my screensaver. But as a matter of fact, 2019? No, 2020 was the year that we were going to go to Europe. We're going to do European cruise. That was what we were going to do. And it just, well, you know how that worked. It's fine. Whatever. Not a big deal. Speaking of same army battles, well, that was last hour. That was in the first hour of this program. You enjoy Civil War games such as Caesars versus Pompey or successor battles. Successor battles are good, but I wouldn't call them civil wars because they're two different lists fighting each other. But I agree on non-historical same army games are not fun. Yeah. We've done Romans on Romans, and that takes a long time to get resolved. A long time to get resolved. But successor battles are cool. Those things are neat. I think what makes them neat is the pike aspect of it. You've got at least 2 elements that you have to give up width on, sometimes 3, whether they have 4 pikes or 6 pikes in the army. So you've got to give up some frontage. So you end up playing this yin-yang game where one guy's trying to get one way before the other guy gets the other way, and you throw some terrain in there, and it makes it really interesting. I like successor stuff a lot. Diadochi? I think that's how you say it. I don't know. I'm not good on the Greek spelling stuff, but I like all that stuff. They make good battles. And they're fun. A little bit for everybody. All right, what else? This guy's got a hat, and he's got a little bit of black that somehow didn't get painted on here. All right. What color is this hat going to be? Well, let's try. Let's try this with some black. Then bring it up. It's all these fur type hats, so different color furs. He's got a feather. I got to find out what color feather these guys would probably use. Might just use white. Just stands up. Stands out. Might be a peacock feather or something like that. Yeah, I like the successor stuff, definitely. That's another thing. I'll probably never have a Seleucid army, even though I have the troops for it. Mitch has them. And I think Luke has them too. Well, they're a natural enemy for my Ptolemaics, but that's why I built the Ptolemaics. Nobody had Ptolemaics. Well, nobody purposely built a Ptolemaic army. You could always morph them and turn into something else, but nobody had done that, so that's why I decided to do them. And they were also a littoral army. That's the reason I picked them. There's a reason I pick everybody that I paint. It's not like I just randomly just go spin the bottle and see who you get, you know. The Seleucids were the guys that like to play in Rome Total War, the first Rome Total War. You know, the ones when they're neighbors, the Ptolemaics actually have Egyptian-style chariots. Well, they failed the research department in that. I think it's different in the second one, honestly. Haven't ventured that far. I haven't played with it a whole lot. I got it relatively recently, but the first one I played quite a bit and really liked. There was 2 different modifications they made for it, and both of those modifications both changed the Ptolemaics, and they're not having the Egyptian New Kingdom style chariots, which is silly. They wouldn't have even had that. One of them was I think it was called Rome Total Realism. And the one I really liked was Rome, or Europa Barbarorum. And that one was, I liked that one. But it was really challenging, but that's why I liked it. But now those series of games, they involve too much politics in them for my taste. They're not really battles. They're like, who's going to have a kid with who and pay this person off. And, you know, it's just too involved. It must be for people that are just don't have a job or something, or don't have a family, or, you know, my days for that are over. You know, by the time you figured out what you were doing, it's time to stop and save the game. By the time you get back to it, you don't remember what the hell you were doing. These days of staying up all night and playing games well, I don't even do it with miniatures. You know, usually I don't pull all-nighters. Now, there's people that go to cons and they play all night. I'm like, man, I'd be trashed the next day. Just isn't worth it anymore. I remember we played one more game. This is going to be the record because I don't ever see doing this again. We played for 26 hours straight. We started like at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. And we played all the way through like 11 on Sunday. Never went to sleep. Played through the whole night. Went through a shitload of Pepsi. I mean a shitload. But, you know, what was I, 24, 25? 24, 25, something like that. I ain't doing that. Not worth it. Not worth it. The biggest limit would probably, I don't know, start playing about 5 a.m. and then make it to about, 11. And then we played on the floor, too. You told me I had to play a game on the floor. No. And it's not that I can't get up off the floor. Like some people, oh man, I can't get up off the floor. I can get up off the floor. I don't want my freaking back to hurt, you know, sitting on a hard floor it just isn't worth it. Those days are over. As I like to say, I don't need a game that badly. Alright, let's see what this guy's up to. Still don't know what they're going to do on his shield. I'm not worried about it. This guy's something important, though. He's got a little feather in his fur cap. Well, what time is it? 7:30? Yeah. Well, we're going to cut this one off because I'm sure things are about to get rolling here. But I just want to do a little bit of painting on Christmas morning. Hope you guys enjoy your holiday. Have a happy New Year. And we'll see you guys on the flip side. And hopefully you've gotten everything that you wanted to this holiday season. If not, it'll be on sale tomorrow. Anyhow. Until next time, see you in 22, folks. See you in 2022. we got one more comment. We got time for that one. Several years ago, I had some friends try to play through Descent tabletop game. Oh boy. In one sitting, we played for 20 hours. Reached the last scenario and just gave up so hard. Oh. Okay. Yeah, that's... Can't do those things anymore. All right, folks. Any Karu? Happy holidays. See you guys next time. Happy painting. Bye-bye.